Welcome back to Narrations. This is a story about food as memory, as identity, and as inheritance. About how grief can harden into pride, and how love, when given room, can slowly soften it again. It's a story about distance, not measured in miles, but in misunderstanding. This is the story of the 100-foot journey. For the Kadam family, food has always been the center of everything. In India, their home is alive with sound. Sizzling oil, clanging utensils, voices overlapping in argument and laughter. The kitchen is not just a room, it is the heart of the household. Papa Kadam rules it with theatrical authority, calling out instructions, tasting sauces, correcting technique with dramatic flair. His wife cooks beside him, calm and steady, grounding the chaos with quiet competence. Together, they create meals that carry generations of memory, recipes passed down, adjusted, perfected, loved. Hassan grows up watching closely. He doesn't follow instructions rigidly the way his siblings do. Instead, he listens. He tastes. He adjusts instinctively. Cooking comes to him naturally, not as discipline, but as language. Then violence breaks into their lives without warning. A riot erupts nearby. Flames, shouting, panic. In the chaos, Papa Kadam's wife is killed. The loss is sudden and irreversible. One moment she is there, grounding the family, and the next, she is gone. The kitchen falls silent. Papa Kadam is undone. Grief consumes him, but he refuses to sit with it. Staying in India feels unbearable, every corner haunted by memory. So he does the only thing he knows how to do. He leaves. He packs his children into a vehicle and drives west, across borders and landscapes, dragging grief behind him like a shadow. The journey is restless, impulsive, without a clear destination. Papa Kadam pretends this is adventure, but the family knows better. They are running. Eventually, the car breaks down in a small village in southern France. The place is quiet. Ordered. Almost aggressively neat. Stone buildings, polite smiles, unspoken rules. It feels like the opposite of everything they have known. Papa Kadam hates it immediately. Across the street stands a pristine French restaurant, elegant, silent, intimidating. Almost out of spite, he decides to open an Indian restaurant, directly across the street. Not nearby. Across. He buys a dilapidated building without hesitation, declaring it fate, destiny, opportunity. The villagers watch in thinly veiled disbelief. The smell of spices soon fills the air, loud and unapologetic. Papa Kadam cooks with volume, shouting, gesturing, performing. Madame Mallory watches from her window. She does not hide her disdain. The rivalry ignites instantly. Papa Kadam thrives on it. He mocks French food as lifeless and pretentious. He blasts music. He encourages noise. He treats the restaurant as both memorial and provocation, a way to assert that his culture, his wife, his grief will not be erased. But beneath the bravado, the family struggles. The villagers are hostile. Windows are broken. Slurs are hurled. Papa Kadam responds with fury rather than caution, convinced that standing his ground is the only way to survive. Hassan watches all of this quietly. He cooks alongside his father, but something about it feels wrong now. Papa's cooking is fueled by anger, by memory, by refusal to bend. Hassan, on the other hand, cooks with curiosity. He experiments. He tastes French ingredients. He wonders what happens if flavors meet instead of collide. Madame Mallory notices. At first, it's irritation, then recognition. She sees Hassan's hands. His instinct. His sensitivity. She watches him cook not as a novelty, but as a craftsman. Against her will, she acknowledges the truth. Hassan is gifted. Papa Kadam does not see it. To him, Hassan is part of the family operation, not an individual artist. Grief has narrowed Papa's vision. Everything is about preservation. About holding on. When Madame Mallory approaches Hassan with an offer to train in her kitchen, the reaction is explosive. Papa Kadam feels betrayed. The argument is loud, emotional, ugly. He accuses Hassan of abandoning his mother's legacy, of choosing foreign approval over family loyalty. Hassan is torn between love for his father and the quiet pull of something he cannot ignore. This is no longer about food. It is about identity. And for the first time, Hassan must decide whether his journey belongs to his father's grief or to his own future. Hassan steps into Madame Mallory's kitchen feeling like he has crossed an invisible border. The space is quiet in a way he has never experienced. No shouting. No music. No chaos. Every sound, the slice of a knife, the simmer of a sauce, feels deliberate. Madame Mallory does not welcome him warmly. She does not reassure him. She watches him closely, assessing posture, attention, restraint. She tells him one thing. Here, instinct is not enough. Hassan struggles at first. His movements are too expressive, his seasoning too bold, his habits shaped by improvisation rather than discipline. Madame Mallory corrects him sharply, sometimes harshly. Mistakes are not ignored. Pride has no place here. Hassan feels humiliated. But he stays. Because beneath the rigidity, he senses something familiar: devotion. French cuisine, he realizes, is not lifeless. It is controlled because it is respected. Every rule exists because someone once cared deeply enough to define it. Slowly, Hassan adapts. He learns precision, timing, balance. He begins to understand how restraint can sharpen flavor rather than dull it. And as technique settles into muscle memory, something remarkable happens. His creativity doesn't disappear. It evolves. Hassan starts blending worlds, Indian warmth with French structure. Spices appear subtly, not announced but integrated. Madame Mallory notices immediately. Instead of rejecting it, she pauses. She allows it. Across the street, Papa Kadam is furious. He feels abandoned, not just by his son, but by the very thing that anchored him after his wife's death. The restaurant loses its spark. Papa cooks mechanically now, without joy, without fire. For the first time, he is forced to sit with grief instead of shouting over it. The village watches this shift closely. Customers begin crossing the street more freely. Hostility softens into curiosity. Madame Mallory intervenes openly when vandalism threatens the Kadams again, making it clear that this rivalry has limits. Papa Kadam does not thank her. But he notices. As Hassan grows under Madame Mallory's guidance, she pushes him further. She sees that the village can no longer contain him. His talent demands challenge. Opportunity arrives in Paris, a prestigious kitchen, brutal standards, endless pressure. Accepting it means leaving everything again. This time, Papa Kadam does not explode. He is quiet. And that quiet is heavier than anger. In the end, he gives Hassan his blessing, not because he understands, but because he finally accepts that holding his son back will not bring his wife back. Letting go is the last act of love he has left to give. Paris is unforgiving. Hassan is reduced to nothing again, another ambitious cook among hundreds. The hours are long. The criticism ruthless. His confidence fractures more than once. But he endures, remembering discipline, remembering balance, remembering why he cooks at all. Recognition comes slowly. Then all at once. Hassan's work stands out. His voice becomes undeniable. When the Michelin star is awarded, the moment feels unreal, not triumphant, but grounding. He has crossed a distance far greater than 100 feet. Still, success feels incomplete without return. When Hassan comes home, the village feels smaller, warmer. Papa Kadam's restaurant hums again, not with defiance, but pride. Father and son meet without argument now. They cook together, not as commander and apprentice, but as equals. Madame Mallory watches, satisfied. The rivalry that once defined the village has transformed into respect. The 100 feet between restaurants no longer divide, they connect. The 100-foot journey is a story about inheritance and independence. About how grief can harden into pride, and how love, when allowed to grow, can soften it again. It reminds us that honoring where we come from does not mean staying there forever, and that sometimes the bravest journey is the one that teaches us when to leave and when to return. If you enjoyed listening to this story, please like the video, share it with someone who loves warm, life-affirming films like this, and subscribe for more narrations.